Made a huge difference. So not only from a technology services perspective, but from the sports and the co-curricular, extracurricular activities that we run. So across music and across all the areas. Really good, particularly around the requirements for much more information about where the students are at any point in time in a school, which is, legislatively more and more important. This, from a technology perspective, was really good. We knew what we were up for, good checklists, good information flow, and then on the flip side, the post, when we've added new features right through to, only recently adding new features, we get good documentation and good help if there's something in the documentation that we don't quite follow or don't quite understand where it is that we need to go. So it's been really good for both the experiences, but also they're ongoing as well. From a technology perspective, it's meant that we are looking after just the service part of it and making sure that the information flow between other systems, in our case TAS, is working as expected. Also Clipboard or Digistorm in terms of the app, but across all those systems, that's where our role is in the technology services space, which is great. And it meant we're not dealing with some of those other things like, where's a student, etc. And then Clipboard's doing its job. Absolutely, they've reduced the double handling. It's reduced, it's sort of got the people doing the right job. So HR puts the people into the system as their new employees, irrespective of their coach type. And then sport is dealing with the sport and the activities parts of those things, those sort of stuff, and not doing some of that heavy lifting of doing this in spreadsheets and manual bits of paper that got lost or wet or whatever it was and didn't make it back to wherever they needed to go, or just didn't happen at all, perhaps. Yeah. Sure. So for us, we have done some architectural changes, I guess you'd call them, in the back end of the way data comes out of TAS. So we have changed the way that we look at TAS. We've made sure that we've done the correct things in terms of having the information in TAS to then share with other platforms. That has been a journey for technology services in itself, but making sure that we adhere to communication rules to the way that TAS has those set up so that we can then share them with Clipboard, for example. And then we've made some modifications to our Digistorm Edu app, which is integrated tightly with Schoolbox as well, just to keep everybody all nice and tight together. And that has meant that we've put some extra buttons on there so that, for example, you can mark, a parent can add the absentees or the upcoming absentee for a sport activity that it wouldn't normally be captured by our absentee system by the other, but equally they can also do their normal absentees in there as well. And that's a bit of an education process, and it is pretty new, I guess. We didn't do it straight away when it came out. We did take a little bit of time to get it going, but I think that's a bit of a learning curve for the parents to understand that, and obviously the notifications as well. So they do get the Clipboard notifications about absenteeism and other things, changes, as well. So that's a big thing for us, and certainly we want to meet where parents are at, predominantly parents, where they're at, because they're the ones that are busy. They're the ones that are taking their girls from place to place and want to know that if the venue's changed, they need to go somewhere different, or they don't have to go at all. Perhaps that might be their lucky Saturday. I think it's great. It really puts it in their hands. We have chosen to do it by parents and not by the students, but there is that option available to schools that might want to do it to senior students, for example. But for us, we've stuck with the parents. It means it's a lot easier for them. They can meet where we are. We've done some things with our identity too to assist that. So we now have our parents 30 days before their students start coming into the system, and we're looking at making sure that goes through all the systems, including Clipboard, boarding reach, all of those. And then on the flip side, we have 90 days on the other side, not so much relevant perhaps to Clipboard, but that, again, that same onboarding, offboarding experience that you're looking to try and make your customers happy. So yeah, definitely the selection of activities is really important from the flow, because that's a big lot of the organisation that's taken the load of, perhaps Microsoft Forms or random Excel spreadsheets or notes or separate emails from from parents to coaches. And so this much tidier approach. Yeah, I think it would have. I think, it's one of those things that we probably didn't do a very good job of, quantitatively measuring, because, it was done sort of on the fly of, okay, we've got this solution and we do that, and it's sort of done, but nobody really measured it before. But I think just anecdotally, the fact that there would have been, people missed occasionally, not got their timesheets in, didn't get missed that P period, the flow-on effect of that for others that are not necessarily affected, but like payroll then has to do a special pay run, or do they wait till the next fortnight to get paid? So there's, I know that was a tension, and that's anything that we can avoid of those sort of conflicts is definitely a benefit, and I think that would be the case. Certainly, you see the notifications, and my role in Clipboard means that I do see the timesheets all finalised, completed notification. So I do know that they're done and they're timely. It's not my role to react to that, but I do see that that's happening, and I guess that's a good way of I sort of know that that's happening. If I didn't see that notification 1 week, then I'd be going, okay, better quickly just check that, just from a technology perspective. But equally, I would be aware then when someone contacts me if there was an issue from another aspect. And I'm sure the coaches like to be paid. Much more about where they are and where they're not. I guess that's the crux of it. And the integrations between systems means that the coaches can be aware that they weren't at school today. So if they're not there right at the start time of that activity, there's a fair likelihood that they're probably also not going to be there for that activity as well. So they can sort of on the fly make that call. Still would go through the process of perhaps communication with parents, etc., and marking them absent and all the flow that goes with that. But it just means that they can already be starting to, be moving in that direction of reorganising the team for the day or the training, depending on which it is. Everybody does. The staff who are also, got a co-curricular role would be involved in that as well. The administrative people, the support people, the payroll, everybody really benefits from that. Technology services maybe is doing less of the, it maintains the system. That's our job. And so, but it keeps everybody in their right lane, I suppose. But it also means that everybody's pretty happy with it. In IT technology space, sometimes no news is good news, and that's what we found. Once we've initial rollout of any change, and then it goes quiet. And so, most of the time that's a good thing. We still check in and, positively, reach out and go, hey, everything's going all right. Yep, it's great. And then, so we just let it go. And so I think that really talks to the positivity of that. We've had lots of people call us and talk to us about, what are you guys doing? That's always good too. So the word's getting out by parents of maybe who have a student at another school, and then those, so it spreads across other schools. So that's I take those as positive things that you do hear about. That it's doing the right thing. Really put us in a positive spot. We are doing the right thing. We can be, demonstrate that we do know where the girls are for the activities, or that we are doing the right thing to follow up if they're not. It helps us, even as a boarding school, you know that they're at activities, so there's that interplay there with boarding. all of those things circle around. So yeah, look, it's always a positive experience, I suppose, for us, and we just let people know that that's how it's been for us. And often we say, not that we've had main issues, but like I said before, if it's not so much about the issue, it's about how it gets addressed. And so sort of right back to what I said at the beginning is, if there has been a question that we've needed to ask support, somebody's been there to get back to us, whether that's been an implementation or just an issue that we're trying to figure out. There's always Phoebe is their account manager, or somebody from support who's been on the phone and on the chat, that's been able to help us. That makes it a positive thing for everybody.